Having a discussion today with someone about robots essentially taking over jobs in the future. And they think it's going to be this terrible thing, but they're really just afraid of change. If you think about 100 years ago or something, or even 200 years ago, pretty much everybody worked on farms. And if you didn't work on a farm, you were starving to death. Those were basically the only jobs available. And then mankind created these machines that made farm work easier. And this allowed people to go into the factories to create even more machines. And then people went into the factory jobs. And that lasted for another 50 years or so, and now the factory jobs are moving to third world countries, and now people are basically doing service jobs. And now the robots are coming to take over the service jobs. You're going to see touch screens, you're going to see stuff like that, because robots can do that. Any low-skill job can be done by a robot. And people are worried about, like, the loss of jobs. Think of it this way. This is the thought I want to share with you. Nobody wants to work these shitty jobs in the first place. Nobody grows up dreaming about working in a factory, working at a kick press for 40 years. They want to do things that they're passionate about. Children want to grow up to be scientists. They want to be entertainers. They want to be singers. They want to be artists. They don't want to work in a factory. They don't want to work on a farm. They don't want to build shit. They don't want to do these low-skill jobs. They don't excite anyone. So consider this. Automation raises everybody's standard of living, even the people who are displaced. Like, think about hundreds of years ago, we had cobblers that made shoes by hand, and now shoes are just made in factories. People don't need to get their shoes repaired anymore. They just replace them with new shoes all the time. This makes everybody's life better. There's all different kinds of shoes. They're comfortable. They're work shoes or everything. Everybody has shoes. Nobody doesn't have shoes. Even homeless people have shoes. Think about that. So everybody's life is better, but of course the cobbler was out of a job when mass production of shoes became a thing. But everybody's life was better and shoes became more affordable. Now, if robots make food cheaper, and they can also mass produce products cheaper, and they can build houses cheaper, all these things are going to be much cheaper for the consumer. So even if you are unemployed, even if you're part of some underclass that can't seem to get a job, your standard of living is going to be much higher because robots are going to be producing everything you need to live. So you could basically subsist on very little money. You could just work kind of a part-time job doing something that you love, and then you'll make ends meet. You may not be the richest person on the block, but you'll live a very comfortable standard of living. Think about this. Today, people living in poverty have a standard of living higher than the middle class 50 years ago and higher than the rich 100 years ago. That's just the magic of how innovation increases people's standard of living. When robots take over these low-skill jobs, they will displace a lot of workers, but they'll never replace the kinds of jobs that only humans can do. Innovative jobs that create things. Philosophers, scientists, artists. These are not going anywhere. Only humans can do these jobs, and these are the jobs that people want to do. These are the jobs that people dedicate their life to do, and they won't be going anywhere. So what you're going to have probably if robots do end up taking over all these jobs, you're going to have all the low-skill menial jobs being done by robots. And then the actual jobs that people care about, that they're passionate about, are still going to be done by humans. We shouldn't fear robots taking these shitty jobs. And people are worried about, like, these Google self-driving cars taking the jobs of Uber drivers or taxi cab drivers. Who gives a shit? Do you really wake up in the morning excited to be a taxi cab driver? Wouldn't you rather be a scientist or philosopher or an artist? And having cheap products and services done by robots will make that possible, because your standard of living will go up, but the cost will go down. You'll need less money to do much more. Nobody works 40 hours because they just love to work. They work 40 hours to maintain their standard of living. Jobs don't matter. Pay doesn't matter. Standard of living matters. And the way to increase the standard of living is to increase productivity, which is to increase automation, at least with the low skill stuff. Leave the stuff that only humans can do to humans, and then we'll be all right. There are going to be people who just are unemployed, but there's people who do that now. Imagine if you just had a YouTube channel that paid a few $100s a month, and that's all you needed to survive. Because your food and clothing and everything was being produced by robots, so it cost pennies what it costs now because you don't have to pay any humans. It really wouldn't be that bad. I think it's just different, and people are afraid of change. But remember, everyone used to work on farms. And then when that got automated, everybody had to move to the factories. And then when that got automated, everybody had to move to the service jobs. When that gets automated, people are going to move to something else, to the things that humans can do that robots can't do. And that's a good thing. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I just wanted to share them with you. Have a good day.